I know that I'm going to do music my entire life. Like that is just something I feel like I've always known. But I just think like now there are just so many more instances where I like kind of doubt myself and I have these moments. But it's usually like a one day type of thing and I wake up the next day and it's like I feel fine. Like all I need is to just like have a day to myself and sit down with a guitar and or like make a demo of a song and I'm like, "Oh right, no, everything's fine." Like I just like kind of it's like I lost sight of doing everything else that relates to the music and not actually doing the music, but like as soon as I kind of write a song, I'm like, "Oh, no, everything is actually okay."
Hi, guys. Welcome to Uncool. I'm Elizabeth Jakaitis, and this is a podcast where I talk to musicians about making music and all the practical and imaginative and emotional work that goes into it. This episode is with Sarah Krohn, an indie pop rock musician currently based in Chicago. We talked about how she got into writing and recording and producing music in her bedroom at an insanely young age, and how she's grown to become a part of the Chicago music scene. Enjoy our chat. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
This podcast is called Uncool because I think it's a common thing with musicians, like many other people in the arts, comedians who are all known for like feeling pretty uncool when they're younger often and using that to kind of channel this art. Then something magical happens and everyone thinks you guys are the coolest
Yeah.
people.
It's weird because like it kind of switches at some point. Like I feel like most artists grow up not being cool, but then they grow up and like I feel like those are the people that I think are cool now. And so it's like this weird kind of change.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to hear those early music memories and how you grew to love it.
I just have always loved listening. Well, first of all, do you know the movie Surf's Up, the cartoon with the penguins that surf?
I know of it. I don't think I saw
Well,
that one.
it's genuinely it's my favorite movie still. But I remember seeing it as a kid, and there's a song in it called "You Get What You Give," and I remember listening to that on my Barbie boombox as a kid, playing with my like plastic animals, making up stories, and like comprehending like what a song was and like the structure of the song, and like there's like a count in it, and I remember like counting the 1, 2, 3, 4, and being like, "Whoa, that's counting is like I was like a child."
That's
I know,
hilarious.
yeah.
I had a Hello Kitty boombox, so I relate to the whole thing, and I think it was like Disney and animated movies. Probably many of us did. Like those were the songs we could sing first. But you clearly had it in you because I don't think I was breaking down the composition of those songs. How did you go from that to like writing
Right, yeah.
yourself?
So I think kind of the next phase of my childhood was just being obsessed with bands and musicians. Like I was such a One Direction girly back in the day. And that was like how I
Nice.
started singing. Like I would sing One Direction songs in the shower. And then through them, I became obsessed with Ed Sheeran. And so he was kind of the reason that I started writing songs. And the first song I ever wrote was when I was 13, and it was called You've Changed My Life, and it was about Ed Sheeran.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. But 13, you're like a prodigy. That's
Yeah,
incredible. So you just continued
I
from that point,
did.
like through your teen years?
Yeah,
Were
I did
you?
continue. It's
Yeah.
like I took lessons, singing lessons, guitar lessons, and then I was really involved in the School of Rock program as a teenager, which is like a performance
Cool.
program. And through that, I like went on tour. I performed at Lollapalooza twice, and it was a really great program. And
Nice.
it really made me into, I think, the performer that I am today. But the songwriting thing was always just kind of on my own. Like we didn't really do much with writing songs, and so that was just kind of the thing that I did that felt separate than that.
I didn't realize that about the School of Rock program, that it's more performance
Oh
focused
yeah.
than songwriting
Yeah,
focused.
yeah, it's super performance focused. So they
Cool.
have just like kids on stage at such a young age, which I think is such a good skill to have. And I think it made me really comfortable with being
Yeah.
on stage. And I don't think, because I feel like so many people have stage fright, but it was just kind of a normal part of my teenage years.
Which is more daunting for you, like sitting down at home and writing music and sharing that maybe online for the first time or getting up on a stage?
I think getting up on a stage is, I think, the thing that is scarier, but only because I think the reactions of it like rejection is so much more immediate. Whereas if you post something online, like you don't kind of get this immediate feedback. Whereas if you're performing and nobody's vibing with it, like you can tell right then and there, and it like affects how you perform. And it's like you have to kind of be okay with the fact that people may not be having fun, and then you just have to like keep going and keep trying to like make people enjoy themselves.
Did you feel like you were taking yourself seriously as a musician from a pretty young age, or was there a point where you had to make a decision about this being a career move?
I think I've honestly always been in kind of the same place that I'm still in now. It's just like I've been doing it to like the highest capacity that I've been able to my whole life, while also still kind of doing everything else that I'm supposed to do. Like I went to college. I now have a normal 9 to 5, and like I'm just kind of used to balancing my normal life with being a musician. And I've just kind of like done it the most I can. And I don't really understand a ton of how everything works, and I never have, but I just keep doing it. And it's like maybe at some point it'll kind of take a really big jump, but it's like I'm just doing my best pretty much.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the fact that you are kind of a DIYer and you've always figured it out along the way. I mean, can you describe like what that's been in terms of especially recording and production of your music?
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like the DIY approach is truly just like part of how I approach everything. And I started producing music because I wrote like 81 songs about someone that I had never met when I was 14 because I was crazy. And I, of course,
I didn't realize it was someone you never
yeah, I
met.
had never met them.
That's
It was
cool.
like it was like an internet friend I had through this.
Yeah.
I was a part of this like fan base for this musician called Lewis Watson, and I had these internet friends, and we would like Skype, and we had group chats, and like they were kind of my only friends in kind of the later part of middle school. And yeah, that's kind of like where I wrote all of those songs. Like we would be on Skype together, and I would be like writing the songs on Skype. But then I knew that I wanted to
Amazing.
put them into an album, but like I didn't know how to do that. And I feel like, especially as like a young woman, I feel like it's like recording studios are really scary because it's a lot of just like middle-aged white dudes. And that was always super intimidating for me. So I never like made the jump to do that. And it was never like super readily accessible. I didn't really like know how it worked or anything. And so my brother was into music production a little bit, and I was like, okay, like my brother is gonna help me record this album. And we like did one day of recording, and then I kept trying to like get him to do it again, but he was just busy. And so I was like, well, I guess I gotta do it myself. And that's kind of how I got into music production. And I spent the next 4 years learning how to use Logic so I could release this album.
You're talking about 81 with
Yeah.
that one, right? That's an immense number of songs to have worked
Yeah.
on at a young age. You had a final product out of it, and surely you learned so much, and it's obviously set you up for everything that you're doing now. One of the singles that you have out, If You're Down, you've talked about that being something you wrote while you were in college, right? Where'd you go to college, and what was your music life like
Yeah, so
there?
I went to Oberlin College. It's in rural Ohio, and I majored in psychology. I didn't even do anything with music, but Oberlin has a really intense conservatory, and so there's a ton of talented musicians. And so my band in college was just like me and a bunch of like jazz boys. And so that's kind of where how I did music at school. I was just in a band, and I also took recording classes while I was there since I'd been teaching myself how to do it this entire time. And so I was like, well, it'd be good to like take some classes. And so I took a couple of classes and learned some things through that.
Yeah. It sounds like you were pretty comfortable pulling personal and vulnerable things into your lyrics.
I feel like I have always been a person that I just like love to share, and I love to like, I don't know, just express myself. And if people want to listen, like that's great. And I feel like whenever people do listen, I'm like, oh, this is so awesome, because I just like love to share, and I love to like hear about other people's stories and consume other people's art. Like that's just like my favorite thing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always so curious, like, On the one hand, I think it's important to do these things for yourself, and you get a lot out of it, just getting these emotions out of yourself and creating something with them. But it also seems really natural that like you hope to connect with other people through it. I imagine when you're starting, you share it online and hear a little bit, and maybe that's enough. But it can also probably be hard if you're attempting to share and connect and you feel like you're just putting things out into a void.
Yeah,
Have
definitely.
you ever dealt with that?
Yeah, I think for like most of my life, I've just kind of felt like nobody cared. And that's which is kind of weird because it's kind of the motivation that I have shared so much online is because I just felt like I don't want to annoy my friends talking about this the amount that I want to talk about it. So I need to like put it somewhere else. And so like I write songs and then I like talk about them and I just like talk about stuff every single day and post it on social media. Just because it's like I have a lot to say and like I don't want to annoy the people that I'm close to in my life, I guess. And yeah, I mean, especially in like the early years, it was only until like kind of recently that I've kind of been breaking out of the feeling that nobody cares because my whole life it's like I've been putting out music, I've been posting videos, and like some people listen to them, but like it's not a ton of people. But in the past couple of months, I've gained a lot of new followers on social media, which is super exciting because I'm getting ready to release a song next month and like there's just so many more people that like will be seeing it and will be hearing it and like I'm excited and a little bit also like nervous for that.
I've heard musicians who to me are really famous and really legendary talk about like being on a plane and sitting next to like a mom who's like, "Are you boys touring? I noticed some guitars." And like she has no idea who it is and doesn't care and has never heard the name of the band. That has to be a tough thing where you don't want to be focused on social media figures and that mattering to you. But at the same time, I don't think there's anything wrong with being excited about reaching a broader audience if what you're doing is genuine and you think other people will benefit from hearing it. It's an exciting thing.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the time it's just been kind of me posting and like not really hearing much back. And for the first time, it's like I have too many DMs to respond to on a daily basis, but I feel bad about not responding. So like I'm trying to like figure out a balance of like when should I respond, when should I not respond? Like I want to like give people like the right amount of like time, I think, but it's like it's a lot. And so it's like I've been trying to navigate that recently.
Protect yourself and your sanity, but that's a good
I
problem.
know, right? And at the
It's
same
cool
time,
that
I'm
that
like,
many people
this
are
is
reaching out.
awesome that like people care and want to like engage with me.
You mentioned the single coming out in early August, right?
Yes, yeah.
You're Chicago based
Mhm.
now, right? Where did you grow up?
I grew up outside of
In this area?
Philadelphia, actually. I only moved to Chicago last year.
Exciting. How have you felt about the music scene?
I love the music scene here. It's everyone is so like welcoming and people just love going out to shows. And so I've just been going to so many shows and there are so many people that are just making such cool music in this scene and like I just like my favorite thing is just going to those people's shows and it's great cuz they're like such small indie artists that like they're just like my peers and I see them and like it's just like my friends and it's like it's such a cool social scene and I feel like it's so based around music and I've just like loved kind of being in the scene and experiencing that.
That's a beautiful thing to have when you've just moved to a new city, like sort of a built-in community to connect
Yeah.
with, because it does end up being a small world.
Yeah,
right?
it's so small. Like you'll meet someone and the next day you'll like run into them on the street. It's crazy.
Was music the reason you moved to Chicago?
Like kind of, but also not really. So I graduated from college last year and I was kind of hoping that I would get a job somewhere. I was applying to jobs for like 10 months before I got one. And I was hoping that like
Sure.
I would apply somewhere and then I would move to that city. I was trying to do something with music, like working at a label or doing anything with that, but that is not really what my degree is in. It's in psychology. And so I was honestly applying to everything and it took me a really long time to get a job. And so by the end of the summer, I didn't have a job and I had a friend who had been living in Chicago for a year and she conveniently needed a roommate. And so me and one of my friends from college decided to move in and Chicago is one of my like top choices of cities to move to. And I was like, oh, maybe it'll make it easier to get a job in Chicago if I'm actually living there. And I don't know that that was the case, but I did end up getting a job like 2 or 3 months after that. Yeah, I think it's like after I graduated from college, I feel like the kind of normal thing for a musician to do is get a job that is a little bit more flexible, that allows you to like go on tour, like working as a barista or like teaching music lessons. And I considered that, but I was also looking for like I feel like those jobs are more exhausting for me and they pay less. And so like if I'm able to kind of have like a job that affords me the privilege of sitting down for 8 hours a day, like that and pays me like a salary, like I think that was kind of what I was looking for. And I'm kind of really happy with the position I'm in right now, honestly.
I totally agree with you that people sort of act like, oh, a simple mindless job would be being a barista or waiting tables. It's like that is the most
Yeah.
stressful
The
and
the
exhausting
hardest
job, and
job,
it's hard to unplug
it's
from it.
so hard. The hardest job I ever had was working at a grocery store. Like that is brutal work. It is.
Have you created a lot of new music since you've been in Chicago? Is this upcoming single kind of the main thing right now?
Yeah, I think the way that I knew that I think Chicago was right for me was that I came here and I immediately was writing songs. Like I think while I was moving in, I like sat down and I wrote a song that same weekend, which I've lived in places where I don't write songs for months. Like I lived in New York for 3 months. I maybe wrote 1 or 2 songs. Like it didn't something about the energy of that place, it didn't inspire me. But immediately coming to Chicago, I was like writing, which is it's just like such a good way for me to tell if a place is right for me. And pretty soon after moving, I kind of got myself into a confusing situationship, and that was really great songwriting material. And I wrote a lot through that, and then that kind of turned into a relationship, and then a breakup. Which again, a lot of writing material has kind of happened since I've been in Chicago.
For better or worse, sometimes
Yeah,
the not fun stuff that makes really good
yeah.
music. So that single you have coming out in August, are we allowed to talk about it? Are we allowed
Yes.
to share the name of it?
Yeah, yeah. I would love to talk about it. It's called
Please.
Sammy, and yeah, it's coming out on August 8th.
Is that drawn from things going on in your life too?
Yeah, so I wrote Sammy about the situationship that I was in. And I wrote it kind of like earlier on in it. And it was me just trying to like figure out everything. And it was confusing because I think the situation is that I was trying to make things work. And I think that they just weren't working. And I feel like I've never done so much thinking in my life. Like I'm a big thinker. I love to think a lot. I have never thought so much about something and still not had answers about things. I kept trying to figure out like the ways that I was feeling and like the reasons for it. But I think the reason in the end was just like we weren't right for each other. And so Sammy was kind of born from this place of just trying to figure out like what I was feeling and what I was wanting, and kind of this back and forth between, do I want commitment, or like should I try to mirror the way that I feel like this person is acting? Like it was just kind of like a confusing and emotional time, and I feel like writing it was kind of my way of processing that.
I hear writers of novels talk about not knowing what a story's about, how it'll end, or where it's going until they get there because they're writing through it, trying to figure it out. It's interesting to think that you're doing that with music too. You don't necessarily set out with a message, you're trying to work through it as you create it.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like
Is that typical?
I think for me, yes. And it's only recently where I've been trying to think about songwriting in a different way. In a way, like I'm used to just kind of sitting down and it all just comes from a feeling. And like I am feeling something and then I reach for whatever will describe that feeling, whether it's the guitar or a melody or words. And they just kind of like ping pong back and forth until the song is done. I feel like I don't kind of like practice songwriting in a way where it's like, I want to write about this thing. I feel like no matter how much I try, I like can't do it. And I feel like that would be such a great skill to have. But I don't think which is why like I'm kind of happy I didn't, Nashville was kind of my second choice to Chicago. And I think if I would have moved there, like it's such a big place for songwriting. And I don't think that I write songs in the way that a lot of the people in Nashville write songs. And so I think I kind of probably would have been comparing myself a lot if I had moved there, even though I still might move there. Who knows? But yeah.
I think there's good and bad to all approaches, but setting out with a message, like seasoned musicians who know what's marketable might do, like maybe this is just a romantic idea I have, but something that seems more authentic, I
Yeah.
guess, to try to figure it out as you're creating.
Yeah. I think that's kind of where I come from with it. Like if I try to make something that's like good, I can't make anything that is good, because the reason I don't the reason I listen to music, I don't listen to good music. I listen to a lot of music that I wouldn't even consider that good, but I love it so much. And so it's hard when I get caught in between this thing of like trying to be good or trying to make things that I think other people will like, because that's not even why I consume music.
You share great music that you're currently listening to on Instagram. A couple weeks ago, maybe longer, I'm not sure, you shared an old Maroon 5 song that you came across, and not like really old Maroon 5, kind of like that middle zone. I was so happy to see that post because I hadn't thought about that song in years. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think, is it the song
of the
that's
name of
called
it.
How by Maroon 5?
I think it is.
There's a
How.
couple.
Yeah.
I've been listening to
I
a
can
lot
hear
of that. That's actually really funny you should say that, because look what shirt I'm wearing. I'm wearing a and I'm all
Excellent.
distressed and like bleached because it's like Maroon 5. That's
Made it.
I kind of I
love-
like I like have distressed it.
Looks great. I'm impressed by your skills. That looks like flames around the
Yeah.
collar. It's a really cool shirt with all of their faces lined
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, no, I've been listening to a lot of Maroon 5 in the past like year for some reason. Like they have some bangers, and specifically this one song which is called How, which is from the same album that like Moves Like Jagger is from, and it is such a good song. Like it's so good and nobody knows it. Like nobody knows it, and it's such a good song, and I keep showing it to people like you need to listen to this. It's so good. And I saw them live actually
Yes, I'm
this year, which was so exciting.
this year. I saw them at Summerfest in Wisconsin one time. Quite a while back. Yeah. How were they when you saw them recently?
They were good. It was a weird show. I was in Las Vegas and I was with my brother and we saw them, and I feel like any show in Las Vegas kind of has like a weird vibe to it where they have like a residency. But I was really impressed with Adam Levine's voice. Like his voice live is really good. But it was just, I feel like the crowd wasn't really into it.
I just had to look. I was trying to remember what album I remember getting for Christmas. It Won't Be Soon Before Long.
Is that the one
came
that's like
out
gray
in
and it has like the
2006 or 2007?
that one is the one that I've been listening to this spring a lot. There's a lot of great breakup songs on that album. And yeah, I've been listening to it a lot.
Yeah. I loved that album when it came out. The one after that had like Moves Like Jagger and stuff. And they were heading into more poppy stuff that gets taken less seriously now. Did you ever go through that teenage phase where you had to turn your nose up at bad pop songs?
I feel like that.
Were you always into it?
Yeah, I think like kind of in middle school, there was like a change that happened. I feel like the first 2 years of middle school, I was kind of friends with all of the like kind of normal people. And then in the second half of middle school, I like started to feel different from everyone, and it felt like harder and harder to kind of feel like I was pretending. And so at a certain point, I just kind of like found a different group of friends who were all kind of like outcasts, and we all just became friends. And then I started listening to like Nirvana, and then I got really into like pop punk, like Sleeping with Sirens. And then after that, I like kind of found like indie singer-songwriter, and that is kind of where I like settled for a while.
Those are the years of figuring it out, finding your niche, and I think like taking cues from everybody else and sort of looking to other people to affirm what's cool and what isn't. And then it's beautiful when you get older and realize like, oh yeah, that song was really cheesy, but like it's a true talent to write a catchy pop song.
It is, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah.
What kind of music have you been listening to recently that's influenced what you're working on?
Ooh, a lot. So recently my kind of favorite artists right now are this guy called Ryman. He's really good. And I've also been listening to a band called Maxiel. and what else I've been listening to? Maroon 5, of course. But I would say Ryman and Maxwell have been really like influencing my music recently. Ryman kind of has this kind of like singer-songwriter like twang to it. And then Maxwell is like I think they're like an emo band, but they have this one album that is it's just like so well done. And I've just been listening to it a ton. One of my bandmates sent it to me in the fall, and I've just been listening to it ever since. And I recently posted a cover of one of the songs, and like the band like followed me. They like shared it to their story, and they like, oh my God, like, and I feel like that is just like, that means the most to me.
It must be awesome to hear positive things from fans, but I feel like it would be something else to have other musicians you admire share your work.
Yeah.
At what points have you questioned whether you should keep making music or felt like, is this even worth it?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of ironic. I think the most that I've doubted myself in music is now, which it's ironic because I am in the best place I've ever been with music. I think I'm making the best music the most people are listening to. I'm in bands, like where I'm at in Chicago, like I know people and everything. I'm set up to be in the best position I've ever been my entire life for music. And yet I am the most doubtful of myself I have ever been. And I think it's kind of that thing that people say, like, the more that you know, the more that you know that you don't know. And it's like, yeah, I feel like I've just been learning so much about the world, but also realizing there's so much I still don't know.
I could see how like it getting more real and you seeing opportunities to take it more seriously could kind of cause a little bit of a crisis.
Yeah, because I think it's no longer this dream that I had. It's like it's kind of becoming more real. And I think when things become more real, it's like, oh, it's more scary.
That's so relatable. You can convince yourself you're working towards dreams, but it's easier when they're just sort of vague ideas in the distance. How is that feeling right now? Do you still feel like, okay, I'm going to keep plowing ahead and working on this?
Yeah, I think, yes, it's like I know that I'm going to do music my entire life. Like that is just something I feel like I've always known. But I just think like now there are just so many more instances where I like kind of doubt myself and I have these moments. But it's usually like a one day type of thing, and I wake up the next day and it's like I feel fine. Like all I need is to just like have a day to myself and sit down with a guitar and or like make a demo of a song, and I'm like, "Oh right. No, everything's fine." Like I just like kind of it's like I lost sight of doing everything else that relates to the music and not actually doing the music, but like as soon as I kind of write a song, I'm like, "Oh, no, everything is actually okay."
You mentioned working with other bands. What kind of different projects do you have going on?
Yeah. So right now in Chicago, I have a band of people that just kind of play the songs that I write, and then we play gigs. And I'm also in kind of a band that has been kind of getting started for the past almost year now. We're kind of like an emo folk band, and it's a bunch of people that I met when I came to Chicago. But we all have like other bands that are our main band. So it's kind of like all of our side projects. And so we just work on it whenever we kind of have time. But that whole band is in a different band together called Arcadia Gray. And they like go on tour and everything. And they're going on tour for like the next couple of months. And so it'll give me a lot of time to write songs. But yeah, I'm really excited for when we all have the time to actually play gigs together, because I've been really excited about the songs that we've been writing.
Very cool. You also have a lot of cool music videos.
For like every single that I've released since I made that album in like 2020 is when I released it. I've made a music video for like every single song that I've released after that, just because like it's so fun for me, and it's usually very like DIY, like just a camera, my friend, and a dream. That has kind of been what it's been. But for this song that I have coming up, this was like the first time that I got like an actual, like I had a whole crew of people like helping with the music video. One of which is one of the members in that folk emo band that I'm in does like freelance music video stuff. And so yeah, we recently just finished filming the music video this week actually. And I'm so excited for it. I think it's gonna be like just so much better than all of the other music videos that I've put out. And like the process of filming it was just so much better than doing it on my own. Like I've even filmed videos that was just me and a tripod and just hitting record, then like it's so stressful, and like having a whole team of people, I'm like, oh, like I can never do a music video any different now because it just makes it so much less stressful.
That's funny. I could see how both would be the case. It seems daunting to have this whole crew involved, but you said they're friends. You can feel like not every aspect of the success is entirely dependent on you alone.
Yeah, and I think it really helps to have like a really good director who is super like encouraging and like confident and just like has the direction. Because it's like I'm very good at like kind of doing what I'm told, but if I'm the person that has to be like telling everyone what to do and then also doing it myself, that is like really scary for me. So I feel like having someone there that is like the director, that is just like a dream for me.
Are you coming up with the general idea?
Yeah, most of the time, like I'm kind of the only one that comes up with the concept. With this concept, I came up with like most of it, and then I came to like the video production team, and they kind of helped me turn it into like what it's actually going to look like. And so it was helpful to have people to like bounce ideas off of instead of it just kind of all coming from me.
Does that ever happen with songwriting? Have you worked with other musicians and written together?
I've only like really started doing it recently with this folk emo band that I'm in. Like I've been writing with one of the other members, and it's kind of the first time that I've ever written with anyone, except for I had this friend in college, and we were kind of like a duo, and we wrote like maybe one or two songs together, but like nothing crazy. But now like I've been kind of writing with this person, with this band member of mine. And it's a little bit scary, I think, at first, because I've just been doing it alone this whole time. But I feel like it's really great because it's writing songs is hard to do just on your own, and it's so great to like have somebody to bounce ideas off of.
I think my personality wants total control and to not share vulnerable ideas until I feel good about them. But I can see hitting a moment in the process of being stuck and having somebody else to throw out a suggestion would help move it
Yeah.
along. What would you say with these bands that you're working with? Like for you individually and your projects with them, what does success look like for
Mm.
you guys? What your short term, long term goals?
Yeah, and I feel like my immediate goal right now being in Chicago is to play a lot of shows. I feel like that is kind of the next thing on the horizon for me, and kind of partly why I moved to Chicago because it's a great place to play shows, and I really want to build like a local following here. And so, yeah, I've been kind of like getting a band together, and then like kind of things shift, and finding a drummer in Chicago is like such a nightmare. But I have a new drummer now, and we're about to like start rehearsing because we have a gig coming up in August 23rd at Book Club. And so hopefully, like once that kind of gets going, we'll just be able to like play gigs. But I feel like it's sometimes hard to like schedule because everyone is just so busy.
Are there things that would be unexpected to people about what it is to be a performer right now and to try to assemble a band?
I think I don't know that people really realize just how much time music takes to do and to organize and to plan, and it's also a lot of alone time as well. Like I think a lot of musicians when you go and see them play, like they're performing and they're on stage and they're like kind of this bigger personality, but there's so much time that is actually like alone. Like I have to be alone to be like writing songs and working on demos and like planning all this stuff. Like so much of it is solo work. And I feel like when I see someone on stage that are these like great performers, it's like, I don't know, like I forget there's just like so much alone time with it as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. You were young. Did you have things you saw from musicians you admired, like festival performances or world tours, or like anything in particular that looked like, oh, that's the dream? That's what I want to do?
I think like I just loved consuming the personalities of the musicians that I really liked. Like I loved going to shows, of course, but I feel like when I was going to shows as like a young kid, I was like going to One Direction, it's like you got to pay like a lot of money and you can't even see their faces. And so I think like I loved learning about the artist behind the song. So I loved like honestly I loved watching interviews. Like that was like the big thing that I would do. I would go through and just spend days watching every single video I could find of them on the internet.
Yeah, I agree. I love that part of it too. Some people I think will say that they like only focus on the music, and I'm just a little unashamed in the fact that like if I hear music that I like, I start with the Wikipedia page and then go really deep. Like I want to know where they're from and when the band formed and the whole backstory, and like you said, listen to interviews.
Yeah, I love like hearing about all the lore behind their lives and their music.
Yeah, agreed. People keep bringing up the AI
Oh
band
my God,
thing
yeah.
to me recently. I scoffed about it for a while and now it is a little unnerving. I'm not sure that it can't create music that sounds pretty good and is pretty entertaining. That can seem scary, but I think that like just like we want to know that there are people behind music, even if it sounded pretty similar, even if we could say what this human band created is kind of comparable in quality, and I have misgivings about that, but like even if it was comparable to something an AI band created, it's like we just want to know that we're connecting with other
I
humans.
know. And I feel like the one thing that AI will never be able to replicate is a live show. Like even those hologram shows, it's just not the same. Like having the interaction with somebody and just experiencing it in a live context, like you can't replicate that. So I feel like in some ways it's hopeful, I think, for the live music industry that like that can't really be replaced by AI, even if some of the recorded stuff can. And there's also no personality behind the band. I guess like they can make characters and stories and like that can be cool, but like it's not like a real person's stories. And I feel like there's something about that that people need to connect with real people.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Um, yeah. I was thinking about like, created bands. I guess like the Monkees, made for a show, or like Gorillaz is a band of created characters, right? Made by Damon Albarn. It's different when there's a person behind those projects as well.
Yeah.
What are your feelings about festivals right now? Are there any you're going to this summer?
I feel like I'm not a huge festival person. Like I haven't been to a music festival that I didn't play at. Like I went to Lollapalooza those 2 times, but I was also playing at them, so we had like the backstage passes and like we were in like the artist area. And so I haven't like actually experienced a festival because I feel like it would be a lot for me. Like I feel like it would be super exhausting. I love seeing shows, but it's like by the end of the show, like I need to sit down, you know?
Yeah, it's true. I'm amazed at people's capacity to drink and party during the day in extreme heat in
I
Chicago at
know.
Lollapalooza.
Oh,
I've never been to a festival that's camping based.
yeah.
That's like seems like it would be cool but very intense.
Yeah.
I've been seeing clips from Glastonbury recently and I feel like that would be a dream festival to go to.
Yeah.
I feel kind of like I just missed the heyday of
Mm.
festivals. They are not what they once were, but maybe it'll swing back
Yeah, I
around.
feel like in America, they're not quite as like they're big here, but I feel like it's so much more of a thing in the UK. Like I was talking to this producer recently who I think lives in Wales, and like festivals are like so big over there. Like it's such a big part of being a musician there, which I think is cool. And I think like I probably think they're like doing it better. Like I feel like so many terrible things keep happening with the American festivals, like Bonnaroo getting shut down, and then like the mud at like Coachella or Burning Man. Like that's not really a music festival, but like just so many terrible things keep
Yeah.
happening.
When you feel like you're dealing with uncertainty or things get heavy, is music something you consistently turn to, either as a fan or creating yourself, or do you have to take breaks from it ever?
I think it tends to be something that I turn to for certain things, and kind of the thing that I feel like I'm always trying to make time for. And I've never really like tried to take a break. Like sometimes I'll take a break unintentionally just because like I'm not as inspired or like I don't have anything to write about. Like but there's so many different ways in which I do music that like if I'm taking a break from like songwriting, it's like I'm making demos or I'm like preparing for a release or I'm making a music video. Like I'm always doing something in relation to music, but it changes so much that like I kind of get these built in. breaks throughout, which is kind of nice. But I feel like music is kind of the thing that I need when life gets busy.
Yeah. I think that's a skill to learn what you need to turn to. When you're young, you can flounder and not know what to do. It's a benefit of time that you start to recognize, well, this is a crappy moment, but this is the thing I can reliably turn to.
Yeah.
So many people would see what you're doing and just how long you've been working on music by yourself and then made this move to a new city and connected with people. You've got singles coming out. It seems like an incredible success story, building a following online already and so many new things on the horizon. And it can just feel so daunting to even start. Did you feel that way? And like, what advice would you give to people who think I want to do that creative thing, but I don't feel like I can?
I think I still feel that way about like I'll look at bands and think like, "Oh, like I want to do that. I want to go on tour." But like I don't really know how to get there and I've never known how to get kind of anywhere in music. I've just kind of continued doing it and worked with what I have. Like I feel like that is something that is so important to me is like just working with whatever you have around. Like you can make music with like nothing. Like you can make music on your phone. Like you don't need all this fancy equipment. Like if anything, it teaches you so much to be able to make good music with shitty gear. Like I feel like that is such a thing that I learned with producing is like I recorded with like one microphone that whole album that I put out and trying to make it sound good. I learned so many skills throughout that, like how to make something sound good when you just don't have the tools. It improves your like ability to just work with your surroundings and make anything work. And I feel like so many things are born out of that space of like scarcity and not having everything that you need. Like if I had anything that I needed, I feel like I wouldn't be so creative because like imagine anything. If you could write a song about anything and have it sound like anything, like it's almost too overwhelming. Like I think and it also shows your personality when you just work with what you have. Like, oh, I have this specific guitar. Like it doesn't sound like everyone else's guitar, but this is just what I have, and it kind of becomes part of like who you are, and it bleeds through the music that you make. And I feel like it's is really cool to kind of see the person that makes the music and everything that went into it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Anyone interested in a hobby can feel like they need to invest in all the gear first. I've heard musicians talk about working up to the point where they're given a ton of money in a recording studio and the opportunity to pull out all the bells and whistles. I'm sure that's fun and exciting when you've gotten to that point and could allow you to do some cool things. But someone who hadn't figured out how to do the bare bones stuff would utterly fail with all of those toys. So that's a good reminder that you can do a lot with next to
Yeah.
nothing. And I think fear is so much of a thing that stops us early on, just being afraid of being vulnerable, even in the creation of the art and then sharing it for sure. You deal with that.
I think I've always felt really compelled to share my work. Like, I think a lot of artists feel kind of like scared to share it. And I've never really felt quite scared to share mine, honestly. But I think something that I've kind of run into in the past couple of years is this new fear and hesitance in like sharing things because like, I write music that is super personal and super specific to my life. So if I'm writing songs about, let's say, like someone I have a crush on, and I post that song online, like if they hear it, like they're going to know that it's about them a lot of the time. And part of that is like that's part of the thrill for me. Like I love that, but at the same time, I feel really scared about that sometimes because I don't want to put something out and like scare someone or like make them uncomfortable or like or say the wrong thing. And like I think that is kind of something that I've become scared of is like sharing the things that are so specific to real people. Like I write about my own life. I wish I could write about characters, but like it's all just about me and the people that I come across. And so I get a little bit scared sometimes sharing them because I don't always want the person to know, or sometimes I do, but it's like it's a complicated thing because it's like I feel these things so intensely that like I don't want someone to see it and be like, "Whoa, that's a lot."
Yeah. I mean, it's like a diary entry, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with working through it on your own, but if you're going to share that with the world. That can be a little scary. That person it's about is going to see it.
Yeah.
Have you had like fallout ever? Or has it largely been like it was okay and worth it?
I think most of the time, the people that the songs are about, they never kind of interact with the songs in that way, or they're never like, is this about me? They kind of never, they're never so direct about that. And so I'm just kind of left in this space of like not knowing. Because then I've also heard people have like told me that they've heard certain songs after the fact. And then like there was this one person that thought that I had written this one song about them, but it actually wasn't about them. And so I had to be like, hey, that one's actually not about you. And, but then I've also had people like, I posted the song and like they liked the Instagram story. And so like I knew that they knew, but it was kind of like a haha funny situation. So I've had that happen. But kind of recently, like I had a situation where so I got broken up with earlier this year, and I had posted a song on TikTok of that I wrote like the day after the breakup, and so it was just like coming from the place of the most hurt that I had experienced, and so I was just saying a lot of like kind of brutal things, honestly, and even like my roommates were saying, they're like, Sarah, you can't share that, you can't, like, don't post that, but then I did, and the person did end up seeing it, and like it I think like it did definitely hurt them, and I think that was kind of a moment where I don't know, it was kind of like a turning point of like, oh, like I don't want to do this if it hurts another person, you know? That was kind of like a wake up call of like, oh, like it's hard because it's like I value honesty and everything in art, but also like that was just kind of like a really specific situation of like, whoa, I felt super hurt, and maybe that was a bit much, you know?
Yeah, sure. Um, yeah, I mean, again, people joke about like, dating writers, musicians, artists of all different sorts. Like, you're going to show up in the
I
work,
know, a little
maybe.
bit, it's like you
Um,
have to, like, you're dating someone who writes songs, like, you have to kind of expect that a little bit, so.
right. But it's good you're figuring out what feels right to you and what's okay to share. I think like you're vulnerable in your music and vulnerable in what you share on social media. So that's such a gift to your fans and to people interested in the same things, trying to be creative in their own way.
Yeah, I feel like
Sure.
I think I've been really pleased at whenever somebody reaches out to me and they say something about how my music or anything that I've like talked about means to them, like that is kind of the thing that like that makes it all worth it, because it like the reason I do music is because of all of the music that I love. And so if I can be that for other people, like that is kind of like that's the reason that I do it, you know?
Of course. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, it's been so wonderful talking to you, and it seems like the most important thing we should watch for is your single coming out on August 8th,
Mhm.
Sammy, right? Is there anything else?
Pretty much, yeah. Single coming up August 8th. I'm playing a show at Book Club on August 23rd. If anyone's in Chicago. But yeah, a lot of new music to come after that as well.
Amazing. Well, it's been a joy talking to you. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.